Welcome everyone to this Q&A on the iPhone, the iPad, and the watch. I got a lot of questions this time. I was very happy to get them. Some of them came a little late and I might not get to those, but I'll get to most of them. And I did respond to everyone who sent a question individually. So with that, I want to get into one area that I want to go over that a lot of questions came in about, and when I reviewed chats, I actually went back and reviewed chats from prior meetings and found that that there were several questions on, how do you reduce the battery usage here and there and so on. So I wanted to go over that as well. So we're going to spend a little time going over. And this is not a complete list, but it's a pretty broad-based list of iPhone battery health and best practices. And these would also apply to the iPad. And I'll go over them all individually and show you where they're at, but I'm just going to rattle them off and talk about them first for a second. And then when I go over them individually and demonstrate them, we'll take a few questions. So you can check your battery health. Mine's at 100%. I have an iPhone 13. I use it pretty heavily. I got it in the fall, and it's held up really well. My wife's is an iPhone 12, and I checked hers the other day, and it was at 85%. I was somewhat alarmed. I found out that Apple does not replace these batteries until they consider them good until they get down below 80%. So that is the magic number. You can always, if you get into a situation where you're running out of battery usage, you can always go into the control center and turn on. And there's another area you can do it as well. You can activate low power mode when necessary. You can adjust screen brightness. You can turn off location services or manage location services, which is what I choose to do, is manage. You can turn off background app refresh. You can cut down on notifications. You can turn off Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and AirDrop. And I have a line through that because I don't do that. I would only do that if I was in a dire battery situation. Turn off Safari suggestions when you're doing a search. I like those Safari suggestions. I don't turn that off at all. Kill active listening, which is hey Safari, and that I do. I do kill that. I just on my phone I push the buttons to get it up. And that can be a real battery eater as well. Raise to wake is really a battery, can really suck your battery, and I've got that turned off. Turn off auto app updates. I leave mine on, but they don't seem to automatically update until seems like they just sit there and they'll build up and I'll go in and download all of them at one time, but I don't mind doing that. A lot of people don't like to do that for there's a couple people I know. I think Sheeta might be one that there's a couple apps she has or that somebody in the group has that they never want to be updated. So they're very cautious about automatic updates for a good reason. Remove wallpaper motion effects. That'll again eat up your battery. Turn off iCloud photo uploads. Well, I never do that. I mean, but somebody might want to do that for a while if they were in a bad situation with their battery. Buy a battery case. And also somebody asked about seeing their battery life, and I'll go over that. There's a couple areas where you can do that. So with that, I'm going to demo these, and I'm going to switch now to my phone. Okay, so here is my phone. And the first one we want to do is check for the battery health, and that's in settings right here. Okay, so you go to settings, and then you go down to battery, which is right here. Click on battery. And here is one place where you could turn on low power mode. You can also do it in the control center, which I'll show a little bit later, but you can turn it on here. But this right here is your battery health. I'll touch on that, and you can see mine's at 100%. And if yours is below 80%, you need to replace the battery or go to Apple. Maybe they'll replace it for you. If I know they've had some battery replacement issues that they've replaced some for free. Also in this area, it's important to have this optimized battery charging on. It helps save your battery life. So I leave that on all the time. Okay, so that's where to check your battery health. Any questions on that battery health area?
Okay, I don't see a question. Will the person who unmuted their mic to ask a question now, please ask your question?
Is there a way I can get a screen capture?
A screen capture?
Yes.
I don't.
You would do that from your computer.
That's what I'm
You do
asking.
that from your computer, and this will also be, there'll be a video of this. as well.
If you do a search, an online search, it'll tell you how to do a screen capture from your computer.
And
You
also,
can't tell me immediately.
No, it's beyond the subject of this presentation. I also will be posting in the chat. I can do that. I'll do that shortly. An article that shows in detail how to get to all these things, and you can open that article up and screenshot away on your device. Okay, so I am going to move on to activating low power mode. And I showed you the one place you could do it is in the battery area, but the other place you can do it is in the control center. And I've got it turned on, it's right here. And so if I hit that, which I'm not going to do now, it might even low power me out of Zoom. But if I would hit on that, it would go into low power mode. And again, in that article, it tells what low power mode is. Now, where you get this in the control center is, I don't know why my screen went away. Let me get back in here and screen share again.
Okay.
Okay. The way you get into that is you go to control center right here. Okay. And I'll click on that. And then you have these items to add to your control center, and you can see low power mode is right here that I had added. If I take it out of there, by hitting that minus sign and removing, all it does is it puts it down here. So it doesn't delete it completely. So I'll put it back up there. And that's how you get it into the control center. And again, if I go to the control center, here it is right here. Okay. Any questions on low power mode and how to get it and find it?
I don't see any questions on that, Mitch.
Okay. Adjusting screen brightness is a pretty easy one. Again, we're in the settings area and it's right here, 2 under general. And so I'd go to that, and here you can adjust your screen brightness right here. I like to have this True Tone set on. That's a personal preference as to the color of the screen. Also, normally on the lock mode on my phone, I use 3 or 5 minutes. Some people use less. in following the videos that I do on YouTube, they generally recommend 3 to 5 minutes, and I find that that's acceptable. I have it on never right now because I don't want it to shut off while I'm in this meeting. So that's that. And while we're here, I'll just mention, usually I'm in dark mode all the time, but it does better on Zoom to be in a light mode, so I've got the light mode on. Okay, any questions on screen brightness?
I don't see any questions on screen brightness, but there is a question about, is there a way to see the battery health on the iPad? Is it similar to what you showed on the iPhone?
It's exactly the same.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Yep. And so all these are exactly the same on the iPad. Okay, so turning off location services and or managing, that is in the privacy area, which is right here underneath the battery. So if I tap on that, I'll have location services. I've got it on. And then what you do, you can turn it off completely. You just turn it off. I'm not going to do that, but you can manage it by going down and going through every one of your apps and figuring out what you want to do. Some of them I have never, and some of them, most of them I have while using the app. And let me just pull up one of those. I'll pull up the camera one. Okay, so while using the app, and I've got precise location because I want the precise location when I take a photo. Let me pull up another one. Chipotle, again, while using the app. So it's not going to use my battery at all, except when I'm using the app. And so that's what I do with most of those. Any questions about that one?
No, but we do
Okay.
have a couple. We do have a couple of questions that I want you to ask. Jane Wood, can you unmute yourself and ask about low power mode?
Yes, thanks, Mitch and Sheeta. I'm wondering, when you're on low power mode, what is it that I'm sacrificing?
You'll have, I would like you to Google that. I'm going to post an article in the chat that goes over all that stuff in detail, and I'll see if I can get that up right now.
Okay.
I'll get that article out there right now.
Thank you.
Just a minute, and it'll be out there. Let's see if I don't know that I can get the chat while I'm doing this.
Don't worry about it, Mitch. We'll get it out there at the end. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, so there was another question, Sheeta?
No, go ahead.
Okay, the next one I want to go over is turning off background app refresh. And that is in general. So let me get to that. So we'll go right up here to general, which is on the main page of settings right here. They can see my arrow, can't they, Sheeta?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we'll go into general and then background app refresh. Now I have that turned off, and I didn't have it turned off for a long time. And then I can't tell you which one of the experts on YouTube that I follow that said, just turn it off. You really don't need it. But they were right, because I've had it off for months and not once has it bothered me. And I know Sheeta and I talked about this, and it's like, well, you know, how does the weather, if you got this turned off, how does the weather app alert you if there's something going on? And those particular apps that really need to give you warnings and updates will still work in the background to alert you. So and you'll get notifications if you have notifications on for those particular apps. But I turn this off. And what it does, when you read the article, it says that if you have this on, what it's doing in all these apps is in the background, even though you might not be using the app, it's updating. It keeps on updating. So like if you have a stock app on, like CNBC, it's updating all the news stories, it's updating all the stock quotes and everything in the background, even though you're not using it. And so that can really eat up battery. When you hit the app, it's all updated immediately. So I just choose to turn this off completely. Okay. Next
No.
one. Any questions?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So next one is cut back on notifications. So I'm going to go, let me go back here. So notifications is on the first page of settings. A few up from general, and I'm going to hit on that. I'll show you where that is right here. And we'll go to notifications. And so cutting down on notifications, these are all individual. So you have to, literally, you have to go through you have to go through these. Now, I do have Siri announce notifications off. If you have that on, what will happen is if you've got your earbuds in, like I have mine in right now, if a notification comes in, it'll say, oh, there's a notification from Merrill Lynch, or there's a notification from Bank of America. Do you want me to read it, or whatever it'll say? And I found that to be annoying, so I turned it off. Here is Siri suggestions, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but here are the notifications, and each one you have to go in and just determine, what do you want? Do you want to allow notifications? And on some of these, a lot of the financial ones, but some of them I have turned off. Let me find one that's off. Here's one that I have off. I just went through each one of these. It's a little time consuming, and just figured out which ones oh, it actually says off on which ones I have off. You can see that right here. Off, off, off. Immediate, off. So that is how to manage notifications, and that'll help your battery somewhat as well. Okay, I talked about turning off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and AirDrop, and I don't do those things. If you wanted to, you could do those by just clicking on each of those there and turning them off, but I never turn those off. So I'm going to go on from that one. Turning off Siri suggestions. I don't turn off Siri suggestions. If you go to Siri, come on, where do I have? Oh, Siri search.
What are you looking for, Mitch?
Oh yeah, here we go. Siri search right here.
Okay.
So a couple things on here. The Hey Siri I have turned off. I don't like it, and I just choose to use the side buttons on my phone. So the other thing is, when you go down here, they've changed this around. The article shows a little bit different layout of this, but if I tap on this clips area, which is sort of a new thing, it says show Siri search, suggest app clips. And so when you do a search, these things will come up in the search bar if you have those on. And I like those, so I leave them I leave them on. The big one I turn off there is the top one. Hey Siri. Okay. Yeah, it's on my, I haven't turned it off on my iPad. My iPad is going crazy right now. Okay, raised to wake. That is one that will really eat up battery life, and it can go off when the phone is in your pocket. This is one that is not on the iPad, but it is in the screen brightness area. I covered that, but I'll go back and show you again real quick. So if you go here, the raise to wake is right here, and you'll see that I have that turned off. So that can be real problematic if you have that on. I had it on for a while, probably a few phones ago, and I would find that it was all of a sudden my phone would be awake in my pocket. I could feel my pocket getting warm. So I turned that one off. Okay, turn off the app refresh. I leave that on, and I know, isn't it you, Sheeta, that leaves that off because you have a couple apps you never want updated?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if I'll show you where that is, though, it's in the App Store. Let me just find the App Store here real quick. App Store, and here are the automatic updates. Okay. So that's your choice. It's not a big battery deal. Okay, and also down here, you can you can also change this so that it would not, even if you had the automatic on, it would ask you ahead of time if it were a bigger download. Okay. Next, remove wallpaper motion effects. I mean, they look really nice. I'd love to have them, but if we go to wallpaper, which is right here, okay, and you go under wallpaper, choose wallpapers, okay. It will have dynamic, which they move around, still, which is what I use, and live. And so the dynamic and the live can use, particularly the dynamic, because this stuff will move around, will eat up batteries. And so I choose to use just the still.
And let me add about the dynamic and some of the live. They can also trigger neurological disorders. So that's
Yes.
why a lot of people turn them off.
Yes, exactly right. I know my wife would have difficulty with that because of the screens changing around and so on. So you're right about that, Sheeta.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for mentioning that. So let me get out of here, and we're almost finished with this. Turn off iCloud photo uploads. I never do that, and I don't recommend it unless you have some kind of a reason.
Are you still on? You're still on wallpaper. Did you go back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, let me go back. I'm not going to go into that, but I
Okay.
can go into it. Where you would do it would be here in this area, and you'd go to iCloud, and you turn off the photos. But I never do that. I don't find that necessary. The other suggestion is buy a battery case. And one person had a question about buying a battery case. It came in late this morning. I don't know if that person's on, but I got to get back with them because they were having trouble because all the battery cases they looked at took a USB-C adapter and they didn't know what to do. And I said, you need to just go to Amazon and get a get an adapter that will go from USB-C to Lightning. And I sent them a link and it wasn't one for Apple. So I got to get back with them after the meeting. But that's a good idea, is to buy a battery case if you're a heavy user and you're not going to be in a place where you can charge it. And this particular person was going on a vacation and going to be out and who knows where, and not be able to charge it, and wanted to not run out of batteries while they're busy taking movies and photos all day. Okay, now there's one other thing I wanted to go over that sort of came up that's very related, and that is showing the battery life, or the battery percentages. And there is a widget for that, and it is right here, and it will show when your item is active. So I have right now, I have my watch on. Here's my iPhone, and here are my AirPods. I don't know why my iPad is not showing, but it should show over here. But that is a widget that you can set up. So you would just, the way you would do that is you would just hold on the screen, just anywhere outside of one of these areas. I'll hold up here. And then you would hit this plus right up here. And here are the widgets that you can add. And you'll notice that the battery one is not there. And the reason the battery one is not there is because I've already selected it. But that's how you would do that. One person wanted to know how to see the battery percentage. This is a good way to see it. It actually shows in the top menu bar on the iPad, but it does not on the iPhone. And a lot of people have complained about that. And I think that's something that they're hoping will be corrected. They don't have much room up here to put that in. With the new phone being having a smaller notch up there, some people suggested that might come back in the next phone. I don't know if it will or not. So that wraps up my review of battery saving ideas.
Okay,
What,
does
any questions?
Yeah, does anyone have any other questions related to saving your battery life? And only those questions right now about saving battery life, what could be eating up your battery, and battery health. And there was a question going on that some people were not seeing battery health on some of their iPads, and that could be directly related to the age of your iPad and the OS that you're on. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Mitch.
That's correct. That's correct. I was just going to say that is correct. Okay. And I don't know when that feature became available, but I would say it would have to do with both of those items, the software you're on, and it could have to do with either one of those items, the software you're on and the battery
and the age of the iPad.
The age of the iPad. Now, one other thing I will show, just because I have my phone.
I do have a question. I do have a question on this subject.
Go ahead, yes. Michael.
The question is not only the watch, but as the phone relates to the watch, are there independent settings between the watch and the phone, so that because my watch runs down from the battery faster than my phone, and I don't have a phone issue.
What watch?
Yes.
What model watch do you have, Michael?
6.
Okay.
So
go ahead, Mitch.
If you go into, I have all these in a folder labeled watch, but if I go in here and go to this watch area, you can go like to notifications, and you can turn these off. And so you can go into some of these settings and not have them on. So, and a lot of people, this just came up in a review I looked at the other day. You'll see a red dot sometimes at the top of your watch, and that indicates that you have a notification. And if you don't want to see the red dot, this is how you turn it off. But you can manage your notifications here. Also, there's a lot of other things that you can do. So, like on display and brightness, you can go through some of these settings, the same kind of thing on the watch, and adjust them. Okay, and so it's a little bit beyond what I was going to go over today, but there are a lot of settings in here that I would suggest you go through, and some of them will say mirror what's on your when you get down to the apps. So let's get down to like the calendar. Let's look at the calendar, and it'll say mirror what's on the iPhone. Now, if you don't want it to mirror that and you want to do custom and turn it off, that'll save you battery life as well, because the watch won't be talking to the phone about the calendar. I don't know if that's a good one to turn off, but there's, I mean, all these you have to go through individually to really figure out. Like on the mail, I don't do mail on my. I'm sure mail's not on. So I've got custom, but here, allow content, no. So I don't get mail on my watch.
Mike,
So
Mike, can I ask you if your battery burning down on your Apple Watch, has that been recent?
Yes, it has been. I used to hardly, it's usually at least half down or more. And that's just recent.
Right. I've noticed with the last update of my Apple Watches that the battery burns down faster than it used to. So it could be a software issue.
Ah, okay.
I think I've read that there was a software issue. I've not personally experienced that, but I put my watch on a couple times a day just for, if I'm gonna run and take a shower, I'll put my watch on the charger. I'll come back 20 minutes later and it's fully charged.
Mhm.
But
Well,
I
you
have the 7,
Right.
7, and I've got the fast charger, and that is a phenomenal improvement.
Right. Well, I have the 6, Michael has the 6, and I also have a 5. And I've noticed that with the 5 and 6, I have to charge them more now and it burns up faster. So
And
again,
that's Apple's way of telling you to get the 7 or 8.
All right. Okay. All right, Mitch, all yours.
Okay, let me look at my notes here. Someone asked a question about settings, which I'll go into here. And their question was very basic, and it's one that I find to be personally very irritating. And they said, well, is there any way that I can get this battery that I want to see moved up to the top? And there is no way. And the thing I find very irritating about the settings is that they don't put them in alphabetic order. And I have no idea why, because even if these settings were if they were in alphabetic order, you could find things a lot quicker, in my estimation. But they're not. They're just scattered all around. You're always looking for them. Of course, their answer is, well, just go up to the top into the search bar and type it in. And when you type it in, it'll come up. So that's the answer to that one. they don't allow you to do any searching, and it's very disappointing. Okay, so I am going to stop sharing for a minute and go back to my slides. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing great.
You're doing
Okay.
fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me share my screen again and get back into my slides. And get back. Okay, so other questions that came in. I want to take a little time to go over that. Let me go. These are some of the questions that came in. And one of them was how to import and export Take Control book or any book from your book library. And so I'm going to actually share my iPad to do that one. Okay, so let me get out of this for just a minute and go into, I always lose my cursor on this. Okay, here we go, stop sharing. So, okay,
We can see
Now.
your iPad.
good. And we were looking at, what was that question I was going to go over?
Take Control books.
Oh yeah, Take Control books. So if I go into the books and I go to, you go to these three dots, okay? It'll work for Take Control, but well, let me just see if let me hit the three dots. And when you do the three dots, this comes up, a menu comes up, and you can move this to anywhere you want to. You can save it to files and so on. So that's how you get the book, a copy of the book out of the book app. And I really don't look at them in the book app. I put them in there, but I don't look at them in there. I usually look at them in files or in Notability, shared in Notability. I like Notability because you can mark them up real easy in there. So that's the answer to that question. The other question that I want to go into now, because I remember it and it has to do with an email, and it was, how do you get these presentations saved in the appropriate area? So I wanted to demonstrate how I do that. And so I did a search of an email from my good buddy Eckert on one of the presentations, and it happens to be this one that was on security, and he would send these out for classes, and you'd go down and here would be the PDF. And when I click on the PDF, this is what comes up. Okay, and it has open in books. And then also, if I hit over in this corner, the corner box over there, I can also share it to a lot of different places. Okay, and I can open it in Notability, which is where I usually open it up during the meeting so I can mark it up as the meeting's going on. I can share it to files. If I go to share to files, I think because I set this file up and it sees that it's a class, it automatically goes to the class file. And so I have an NMUG's 2022 class file, and that's where they go. Now, also while I'm here, I'll show you that, and I'll go over this a little bit more. I have a Zoom file, and whenever at the end of the meeting, they'll say, copy the notes, download the chat from the meeting. It goes right into this file, And I find that very handy. However, and it's all in my documents area. You can see right here, documents. So, however, the problem I had with that is when I go to my files area, and I go to here, it was just like, well, where are they? I forgot where I put them. So what I did is I made a tag for them. And so you'll notice that here's the NMUG chat and here's the NMUG class notes for 2022. So I'm going to hit on the class notes first. So I'll just touch on that one. And here they all are. Okay. Every class that I downloaded. And I downloaded all of them. Now, I had to make a little bit of a modification on Sheeta's supplemental items that came down because there was not a date in front of them. So they were getting sorted down at the bottom. So I just went in and put the date 02/12/22, and they're all right there under her main presentation. So here are all the notes. And so, and here are the take control books for those meetings. And I just find that very handy. And I'm finding when these tag things first came out, I was not too warm on them, but I'll tell you lately, I've been tagging everything. So that's how I do those. Now, let me go to the chat one. And if I go to the chat one, here it is, Zoom. And I hit on that folder, and here are all the ones that I've downloaded in meetings that I have attended and chose to download, and they just automatically go here. So, do we have any questions on that?
No,
I do have a question.
go ahead, Michael.
Yes.
If you buy a book on Amazon and I'm trying to get it into my books, I can't do that. What's the best way to do it? Because Amazon wants to use its reader and I don't want to do that. I want it in my books.
I don't have the answer to that because I never buy a book on Amazon other than through Audible. And they go right into Audible. Does anybody else have an answer for?
Michael,
that.
can you export that book to PDF?
Yes, I probably could, but then how do I get it into books?
If you export it to PDF, you can open it directly from the Books app,
Right.
and it will be opened in Books.
I'll give that a try. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Other questions?
Not on this.
Okay, good. Let me get.
You do. Can you? Because you talked about tags. Can you show how you put a tag on it? On the file?
Yeah. Yes. I got to remember how to do that. Let me just see
Or
here.
or then if it's something that you have to figure out right now, then go ahead with your rest of your presentation, and we'll get back to it at the end.
Yeah, I just did them the other day, and I forgot exactly how I did that, Sheeta.
Mhm.
But it was very easy, and it was push and hold, I think, on the
Okay.
file.
Okay.
But I will go into. I want to go into how I'm using a lot more of these tags, though, since we're on that subject. So here, here's that. There's that article that I was talking about that I'm going to post. But here in my notes area, here are all the tags that I'm using right now, and I probably added 3/4 of those in the last 2 weeks. I thought, well, I've got all these files, and that's good enough. But a lot of the files, I mean, some of these, like iOS 15, there's 41 items there. Well, if I'm looking for one particular item, it would take a while to go through there. So even though you can search the file. So I just find these tags to be be very helpful. Like here's one on the medical ID, how to set that up.
Mhm.
Here's one that I have on, let's see, the watch. Oops, I gotta take this one off. So here's one I have on the watch, or I don't know why salmon came up with lunch, but anyhow, these are there, and there must be watch something in here. But here's one on iCloud Drive. So I've just found these to be very helpful. Do we have any comments on? I'd like to know if other people are using tags a lot and find them useful.
All right. If you are, put that comment in the chat. But I do have a interesting comment from Debbie regarding the Kindle, regarding Michael's question. Michael, when you purchase your book, what format are you purchasing the book in? EPUB or Kindle?
Kindle.
Okay, can you purchase that format in EPUB? If you can purchase it in EPUB, that is the format to choose where you can directly open it in Books. Books opens EPUBs, all EPUBs.
Ah, did not know that.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Much appreciated for that. All right, Mitch, all yours.
Okay, so getting back to some of these questions that came in, a question came in on what about notes versus drafts, the drafts app. I have the drafts app and I honestly have never used it in years. Apple has really enhanced the richness of their notes app in the last couple of updates in the last couple of years. And I use notes exclusively. I don't use drafts. And to me, it's a question of, do you like vanilla or chocolate? There might be some reasons why you use draft but I just use notes. The other reason I use notes is I have over 400 notes and I don't want to have to go through a conversion process of going to drafts at this point. Both apps are very feature rich. I took a look at drafts again, but drafts does cost for the pro version $20 a year. And I don't know about you all, but I'm getting $20 a year forever on a lot of these apps, and I don't like it. So why pay for something when Apple has a decent alternative in the form of notes?
Okay, great, thank you.
What happened to hide my email, deactivate and delete? It seems to have disappeared. I believe that this is a software change. I did a lot of research on this, did some Googling, and I went into my hide my email area, and some of the old ones still had deactivate or delete, but most of them did not. That appeared to be gone. And it's just on or off, and that's about it. So I think that's something that I really liked. I like the fact that I could deactivate it and restart it back up or delete it. And the delete option is no longer there. Any comments on that?
No.
Mitch,
Yes.
This is Carl. That was my question, and I think I found the change.
Okay.
Where?
So if you create the hide my email from the website that you're signing on to, like when you sign on to a website and it wants your email address, and sign in with Apple is an option. If you click the sign in with Apple and then hide my email, the only option you have is to turn that off. However, if within the hide my email in settings, either on your Mac or your iDevice, if you create an email within the settings in hide my email, then you can still deactivate that and add that address to the inactive address list.
Okay, good. Now that sort of solves the mystery, but I don't like the way they do the other. Any other?
Thank you,
I
Carl.
agree. Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I agree. And the only option that I found then is if I created it with sign in with Apple, then I can copy that address and recreate it within the hide my email section. And then I can add it to the inactive address list if I choose to deactivate it.
Yeah,
But it's a pain.
A lot of steps involved there. Yeah. Okay. Hey, thanks for that research and for those comments, Carl.
All right, Mitch, all yours.
Okay. We had a question about, I picked this up in chat, or it might have been a question that came in. Somebody said that their Apple Watch, how to play music on their Apple. Oh yeah, how to play music on their Apple Watch if they're out of Bluetooth range. And so you can do this. What you need to do is to go into the watch area and actually download the music to your watch, or you can download a book. Now, there's only a limited amount of space on the watch, so you can't download all your music, but you can download some, and you can always manage it and delete songs and add new ones, or delete a book and add a new book. So that's how you would do that, is actually download the music to your phone.
Hi, this is
Watch.
John, the guy who asked the question.
Go ahead.
And we had a case where there was a playlist downloaded to the watch.
Yes.
Started playing, at the car before taking a walk, having left the phone in the car. And then when I got a certain distance from the car, suddenly the music stopped. So it sounds like it actually started it on the phone and not on the watch. It was very confusing. And I don't know if I need to put my phone into, airplane mode before I start the music, or has anyone heard of something like this?
Mitch, you want to take it? Or you want me to take it? Yeah, that sounds.
I'd like you to take it.
Yeah, that sounds exactly what it did. That it started the playlist from your phone and not your watch. You actually have to tell it to start the playlist from your watch. So I would make sure that that's what I do. Start it from the watch.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, because once it's there once you start a workout, and if you swipe, it'll show you the music, and you can select the music or the playlist. So definitely start it from the watch.
We thought I had started it from the watch, but we'll try that again. And because we've tested it away from the phone completely, and it worked fine if you started it away from the phone. We'll experiment with that.
Right. I have a Bluetooth connection between my phone and my car, and it always picks up the phone first, or picks up the phone because it's told to pick up the phone. So I'm sure yours might be pretty much acting like mine does. It picks the phone up. So, all right. So give it a try and let us know what happens. All right.
I will do that.
All right.
Thank
you. All right, Mitch, all yours.
Okay. Just a second. Okay. Okay, the control center, I wanted to go over a few things. A few questions came up about the control center, or no, they didn't come up. These were ones that I wanted to talk about. The control center, focus list, and also in the text area, pinning, groups, and how to manage a group. So I'm going to share my iPhone for a minute. I'll stop sharing this. Okay, So let's talk, I want to talk about the text first. So let's get in the text area. Now, these are at the top. These are people that have been pinned. My wife and Jeff Gore and one of my biking buddies, and they're in the middle. And then I put the bike group in just for this presentation. So the bike group is one I want to go into. So I'm going to touch on that. And here's the group at the top. Okay, and it shows people's pictures and so on. And I'm going to hit that group, bike group there. And this gives more detail about the group. I can change the name. There are 23 people in the group, and incidentally, the limit, they can only be iPhone, iDevice people in a group. You can't have an Android person in a group. Tried to get them in and couldn't get them in. And the limit on the number of people in a group is 35. I did not know that. Somebody mentioned it to me and I Googled it, and sure enough, they were right. So if I go to this group if I'll go to this group and I'll go down to the very bottom. And all of a sudden people have a group. They say, well, how do I add more people? So there it is right at the bottom. Add a person, and you would just hit on that and add the necessary information. I like to have people's in my contacts, because if they're not in your contacts and you add them into the group, all that shows is their phone number. And so somebody sends you a message and you know it's from someone in the bike group, but you don't know who it is because all you have is a phone number. So I'm pretty religious about making sure they're in my contacts, and I actually putting in a photo of them, because these, I hate to say it, but these people go away for the winter, which they've already started to, or for the summer, which they've already started to do. And actually in the fall, in September, I will pull up the bike group, and there's only 17 in the text or 23 in the text group, but there are actually about 35 in the whole bike group. And I'll pull up that bike group. I have it as a separate contact area in my contacts, and I'll review everybody's pictures so that I'm sure that I know them when they get back in the fall, because some of them don't ride every week. They might ride once every 3 or 4 weeks. And so, but that's how a group works. Any questions on a group?
Yes, I have a comment on a group. Can you go back to the group and show the group, please?
Yes. Okay.
And can you try to add another person?
Sure. Let me go to there.
Oh, okay. So,
okay.
All right. So you mentioned that you could not have an Android person in the group.
Yes.
I have a group. I have several groups that have Android people in it. But what I do not see once I have that group is the add contact button is no longer available to me. It's only available if I have a group only with iOS people.
Well,
So,
maybe that was the problem, because we had one person that wanted to be added and they had an Android device, and I wasn't able to add them. I didn't know that I could even add them. So did the add contact work one time to get those people in? How did you get several of them in?
when I created the group and it contained the Android person, that was the only time I could add anybody. It was when I initially created the group in the first place.
Oh, okay.
After that, I cannot add anybody if I have an Android person in the group.
Good. Well, we keep them out of our group.
Okay.
But thanks for pointing that out. I didn't know that, because somebody wanted to get in and they had an Android, and I tried to get them in and I could not get them in.
That's why I've noted. That's why.
Okay, good. Okay, now there's one more thing I wanted to show on this while we're here, is because somebody asked this the other day, not in our group, but I was out with somebody and they said, I got this group, how do I get rid of it? Well, it's really easy. You do a hard press on this group and it'll come up and it'll say unpin right here. You don't want to hit delete because that'll delete the group. Unpin. So if I hit unpin, now they're no longer there. And it's down here in the list of people. Okay. So that is all I had on text. Go ahead.
Frank, you have a question about this group. Go ahead and ask it. Frank Salvatini?
Yeah, I got it.
Go ahead.
You go with that group and FaceTime all of them as that group?
I've never tried to do that. Maybe Sheeta would know the answer to that, because all we do is the way we use this bike group is if there's inclement weather, if it's going to be cold, we'll say, well, it's too cold today. Where do we want to go and have coffee? Or you might have saw some pictures there where we took some pictures and wanted to share it with the group.
Right.
So that's the way it's used. Sheeta, have you tried FaceTiming with a group like that, pulling it up in text?
I have not, but if you could do it, I would say that go to the group and click on that little arrow underneath the group where it says like how many people you have. And if you could do it, it would possibly be there.
Okay, let me see. Let me get out of here. Okay, so.
Because I could do it from there. If you click on the arrow underneath your name, Mitch.
Yeah.
If you click on the arrow underneath your name, Mitch, where it says, yeah, you can do from there. I don't know what you clicked on, but.
I clicked on my name.
Click on the arrow.
Not the group.
Go back to done. Go back to select. Oh, I'm sorry. It was right there.
Yeah.
You see the arrow pointing to the right after your name, Mitch?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Right there.
So if you want to do it with one person, you can. And actually, I do see it connected to my group. I see that same video icon. So yes.
Okay, good. You can do it then.
Yes.
So what you want to do then is go to the group and go right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Very good.
All right, all yours, Mitch.
Oh yeah, I didn't pull up the group. Let me just pull up the group. Oh yeah, there it is, right there, the group. Okay. Okay, so let me get out of here. Okay, I want to go to let me just see what I want to do. I want to go to I want to talk a little bit about this. I'm going to put a link to this in the chat.
Yes, you do have a question about that.
Okay.
What is it? What is it?
What is it? Yeah. Well, what that is that is a shortcut. And if I go to my shortcuts, okay, shortcuts, cancel and shortcuts, you'll see it right here. Somebody sent in and they wanted to do the same kind of a shortcut for their Jambox, and they can do it for that. I can't do it because when you do the shortcut, you have to I don't know if I can pull this up or not. Yeah, you have to have the device connected. I mean, you have to when you touch on this, a list comes up, and so since I don't have that device that the person wanted, but if they have it and it's connected to Bluetooth, then this is where you would choose it in the shortcut. If that makes some sense.
It's a shortcut.
So
It's a
So
shortcut.
in other words, in here, that's what they wanted. They wanted their Jambox, but when I hit here, I don't have a Jambox to select. So I could not duplicate it for them, but that's how they would do it.
Okay.
So the purpose of the shortcut is that a lot of times I will use my AirPods at night watching Apple TV. And I'll turn off the TV. I'll forget to reset my AirPods. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, and when I wake up in the middle of the night, I like to listen to a book because it immediately puts me to sleep. And so I'll turn on the book, and it'll be blaring in the bedroom because I haven't switched my AirPods over. So what I do is when I turn on my phone, I just hit this shortcut. It immediately connects my AirPods. I don't have to go into Bluetooth and select them and go through all those steps. This just shortcuts that. So that's the whole purpose of this. Okay.
All right. You have a question from Sophia. Sophia, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Can you hear me now?
Can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay, the question is, how did you set up the bike group? I understand adding people to it, but how did you get the group in the system? What did you do?
I believe, and it's been a long time since I set that group up, but I believe you just start adding people. Is that right, Sheeta?
No,
Yeah.
but how do you set up the group? How did you get that bike group in there? Not the individual people, but the title.
Sure. I'll go through that. Okay, so let me go to the group. Okay, and when you're in the group here, you see where this name is, and yours will probably won't have a name. You hit on that, and you can change the name. See right there, change the name.
Where are you when you did it?
He's in messages.
In messages.
Yes.
Okay.
He
In
created.
messages, and that's where I selected the photo.
All right. Are you following the entire process of creating the group in the first place, Sophia?
No, that's what I wanted to know.
All right. Mitch, show how you create a brand new group.
I can't remember offhand.
New. Click the new icon, the edit icon. Up to the left, above, right, left, right, above. Yep. So once you go back. Once you get to this point, this is where you start, Mitch. Go back. Mitch, go back.
Go back.
No, Mitch. Go back to the screen. All right, go to the right and click on the icon above Jeff's head.
The square one?
Yes.
Okay.
Above Jeff's head. There you go. New message.
Oh yeah, new message.
From here, this is where you start adding the people who are going to be in the group.
Yeah, exactly. And here, so here's where I would add a person. Let's do. Once I do that, I'm going to have a group with no name, so it's going to have a no name up here, and it's not going to say a bike group. It's just going to say, what does it say? Group, Sheeta?
It'll say people. It'll say like 6 people, 12 people. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So what you do is then you tap on that. Okay. And then this screen comes up, and you hit on this name and photo. Okay. And so I picked this emoji of a bike person. Okay. For the group picture.
Okay. And all right. So we have to end this, Mitch. So,
okay.
All right. So that's how you create that group, Sophia. And
Thank you.
And Fred, to answer your question, are groups and messages the same as groups and contacts? The same concept, but not quite the same. So with that, I want to thank everyone for all of your questions. Please copy the chat. There are a lot of great questions in the chat. And Mitch, thank you so much, as always.